It's okay to tap yourself on the shoulder or pat yourself on the back and say you're doing an awesome job, but it's also okay to not be doing an awesome job and to recognise that and to know that you need to do better.
I should be in a position where I'm perpetually generating this amount of money per month to throw it over here. And what I see over here are problems, but there's already solutions in this space. I don't need to reinvent the solution, it's already there. I just need to help fund the people that are already doing the good things that they do.
See, here's the thing, you can have the talent. In other words, you can achieve and be a high sales performer or whatever it is that you're doing, but that does not necessarily mean that you are an abundance mindset. You can have tons of money going in, but also be going through your fingers and going out the other side just as fast.
Okay, team. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this podcast where we're in real life. We've come from the land of Zoom, and we're in real life. I can see eyeballs looking at me, a nice man eating some chips, and my kids are off somewhere doing something naughty with my FPOS card. But we are here celebrating, well, Māori Pacific. We're here celebrating business. Tonight's topic is to talk a little bit about how do you take that great idea and transfer it into something that you can, go off and do something with. But we want to quickly introduce our panel, and over tonight's show we will be inviting other people to talk and be part of this kōrero. Can I just start, let's start with Stanley, and let's work our way down, and let's just say hello and where we are and what we're up to.
Cool. So my name's Stanley Henry. I'm the director of a company called The Attention Seeker. This is our offices that we're in tonight. And one of the founders of the Nesian Network.
G'day, my name's Kristen Harper. I'm the, all three of us are founders, so I don't really need to point that out. I'm the director of Harper Consultancy, and tonight we are going to be asking some difficult questions around money and, challenging our audience a wee bit. So really looking forward to this, because I think this is something within Māori Pasifika we don't really talk about too much. So it'll be interesting to see where this conversation goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Peter Pirihi. I am the co-whakahaere of Patu Media, a small to medium enterprise Māori media agency that it's been running since the end of 2018 up until now, and one of the third wheel of the Nesian Network. So yeah, kia ora.
Awesome. Well, thanks, fellas. And can I just start with the Nesian Network and, a little bit like things where people don't know what to do with things. How did you guys come up with that? Why is it so interesting to go into the business space? I think when we talk about putting people in boxes, we don't necessarily always tie business to our people, but definitely it is, and it has been and it will be. So let's just give a little kōrero for the Nesian Network.
Yeah, good. So the three of us, including and our other founder, Indy, we kept seeing each other at networking events. We were just talking to each other on LinkedIn and whatnot. And every time we went to these events, we realised that there wasn't many other Māori and Pasifika people at these events. And if there were, they weren't speaking up. They weren't talking, they weren't discussing, they weren't networking. And the four of us felt that we had something to offer to help teach and encourage others to do more in our community. And so we talked about it for months, and we kept on getting busy. Life, right? You're running businesses, life gets in the way. And then COVID happened. And then the four of us sort of jumped on a Zoom together, and we said, what are we doing? Why isn't this started? We've got all the time in the world now. Let's bring these people together. And so we did, and we, just pulled it together out of our, there. And good save. But what it was to do, especially over that COVID time, was to have a support network for Māori and Pasifika businesses and professionals, right? We had a lot of friends losing their jobs. We had people struggling to pay rent. We had all these people in our community that we wanted to bring together, give them a support network, and try find a way how we can not only support them, but actually help them flourish and grow throughout this period, right? Actually, how can you promote yourself to the community at large and come out of this COVID experience actually kicking massive goals? And so I guess for me, that's why we got into the spot.
For me, it was an opportunity for myself to actually work with Pasifika rather than always Māori. Well, not necessarily always Māori, but coming from a Māori organisation that I was employed at previously to starting Patu Media, where I was at Whakaata Māori Television. it was all about the tikanga, kaupapa and so forth, right? So I felt that the Pasifika space and my friends, especially my friends who are actually in business, they needed an outlet and a platform to be able to launch as well. And I wanted to actually include us both so we can obviously launch together.
Yeah, so I think right at the start it was that sort of like-minded stuff as well, and I think with all three of us, we really sort of I guess push things a wee bit. We want to, we all want to be successful, and having each other to talk about the goals and push each other. It's been a real I think for all of our businesses, we're really starting to grow from that. And last year when we started talking, there's a lot of other networks that are around the country, Māori and Pasifika, but we felt that they're all in silos. So we want to be that one that's going to be that conduit that's bringing that all together, because New Zealand's a small place. And three reasons we created this is, number one is to connect and collaborate. So connect people up and actually help people collaborate, because I think sometimes when you have these networking things, there's just that pressure of I need to go and talk to somebody. So we want to sort of take those barriers down, help create new business opportunities. So through the conversations that we're having, talk to people about if I see that you're talking about this, you need to be talking to so and so, and we're going to help you assist in creating those opportunities. And lastly, to celebrate success. I think Māori and Pasifika, we don't really celebrate success. There's nothing wrong with talking about being successful, and I think the more we can get together and we can all bring each other up, we're all going to be successful. And as the main reason is creating that is just getting people together and just being authentic, being open, being transparent as well, and then just from there, just seeing what we can do.
So I invite our audience to, think of questions. If there's something that pops in your mind, do jump up, and we do want this to be collaborative. I'll pick up on that. Why is it so hard to celebrate success, Stan? Stanley, why is it so hard? Why can't we get up and shout from the rooftops that we're awesome?
Yeah, look, for me, and these guys will probably laugh, but for me it's not hard. I can. I'm all for it, and I always have been, and I guess that mentality that I had, I wondered, why did I have that, as opposed to a lot of the other Māori and Pasifika people that we went around and we met, and a lot of that comes through just life experience, right? When you hit rock bottom in life, there's only way is up, and I've definitely been down in the bottom, so I've never really, every win I have, no matter how big it is, I'm let's go, this is awesome. I say stuff like, oh my God, I got all the green lights today, every single success I can get, I'm good. And then when it comes to money, I never grew up, I never really had that perception of money being something taboo not to talk about. And it's really weird, I left New Zealand for 12 years and I came back, and I didn't realise what tall poppy syndrome was until I got back here. And when I moved back here and I realised that it was a Kiwi thing, I was like, what is this? Why isn't everyone just happy to be successful? And, New Zealand is one of the most amazing countries you can live in. And yeah, we have our problems, but do we have our problems compared to 90% of the world? No. They're much worse off than us. So I was always wondering, why aren't we much happier? Where has this tall poppy syndrome come from? And as I went through our journey and we started to talk to people, I found that even in the Māori and Pasifika, it got even worse. That tall poppy syndrome was even worse. And anyone who does speak, and even in my own families and stuff, my family, my brothers actually, and things like that, money, you start talking about money and there's back chat straight away. And I think that for a lot of our communities, I think that's a big problem, why we can't speak up, because if you're successful, everyone wants to chop you down, right? Right. And for me, that's been a massive eye-opener, because I didn't know it beforehand. And so I thought I was coming home, but it's almost like I came back to a new country that I never thought I'd seen before.
Do you think it's a safety mechanism where if you just chop it down, you don't have to go out there and lay it on the line?
Yeah, for sure. I watch a lot of Gary Vee and his story about there's two ways to build the biggest tower in town, right? You can build the biggest tower, or you can pull all the other ones down. And I think for a lot of people, it's easier to just pull all the other ones down, and because they don't want to have to put in the effort themselves to build the biggest tower. And so I think for a lot of people, it's if I pull everyone else down, then I don't look so bad.
Yeah. And Kristen, is that what tonight represents? Like, is the professionalism, having a good time, but we can say whatever the hell we want because this is us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more you get around like-minded people, the more opportunities you're going to create. And like Stan said, we've grown up with. I think a lot of it comes from our parents and that as well, the way they've been brought up as well. And we've always had money in our house, but we've always just had enough. So me growing up, I've always been able to make money. I've just never really been able to keep it. And even when I got into sales, when I become pretty successful, I didn't want to tell anybody because I just felt stink about it. And I'd tell mum and dad because I was really proud, but I just didn't want to tell too many people because I thought I'd get judged. Whereas nowadays, man, I don't give a stuff. And I think the more we can all start to talk about that success, the more success we're going to create. And this is that space where we really want to encourage that, not be one of these networks where we just go along, we'll talk, have a drink, and that we want to challenge you. We want to challenge each other.
Well, and look, what do we do in real time? Everyone's got ideas here. Everyone's got grind and hustle. What does it take? What bravery does it take? Is it literally saying everyone's got permission to shout to the rooftops that we can do this thing? I don't know. Sometimes I think we think it, but we don't say it, right? So look, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back in a sec, brother. And let's take a break. Let's have a bit of a chat, and we'll see what we get up to in the next segment, eh? Awesome. I need that audience clap. No, don't. And then I'll edit me in telling a joke. So then I was like, whoa. Okay, so we're back after the break. Awesome. For TV land, everyone's just watched, a few adverts, but for us, we got to share some kai together. We got to talk. We broke up into little groups. This is more than just entertainment podcasts, right? This is us spending time together. That's the theme that came through our group. What's some highlights from what you guys were talking about?
Well, the biggest highlight for me was obviously meeting Morris. He came across as being he tended to say that he was obviously a little bit out of his depth, and his wife is the driving force behind the kaupapa, and also with Quinn Tumai from Iconics, and he said the same thing. So it was a bit of a collective of two contrasting businesses, one in construction and one in the finance sector. So yeah,
awesome. And shout outs to Group 4. That was our group. They had to put up with me dripping my pizza oil all over the table. But look, we raised a couple of good things in our group, which is like some of the things we're doing haven't been really done. Right. You don't have people you can go to ask for sound advice because the world is moving at such a rate. And look, culture, I think it's built in us. We're fine. But when it comes to this other world where people are looking at you, waiting, I think those are the things that tonight represents, that everyone is like, oh, we got this, because we've got to be together, and that's how it was. So, look, in that, we will offer that there's this mic here, okay? And I guess before everyone's like, I ain't doing that, think what it represents, right? It represents us owning what we say. It represents you being up here without anyone pointing, saying you've got to say this. So we want someone to come up, and I'm happy to nominate, but I would like the person. Okay, there we go. T, come in the middle. Nice. Look, just before T starts, I love this man. He's got some energy, but T fasts all day, so he can have one meal in the evening. So the reason he's happy is because he's fed. And that's why you're here. So T, just a little 30-second intro on who you are, brother.
Kia ora, my name is Tillmaker. I hail from Ngāti Whātua, and I work in the technology space, and I actually came up so I could move closer to the pizza.
That's awesome. Just give us a little synopsis of your group. What was the feeling within?
So I suppose it started off, the initial feeling was around just keeping things simple, but one of the big things that resonated throughout the discussion was just knowing your strengths and knowing that if you have a partner, you work with your partner, not against your partner. That was a strong thing that came through, but also a willingness to not only do what you do in terms of business, but do what you do in terms of educating or using your business to educate your people. And that was those were the three resounding things that came from our group.
I wonder why they sound so normal when you hear it, but it's so hard to do. Is it because that isn't what is taught when we talk about business, when we talk about success, that valuing somebody for who they are, what they do, is as important as anything else, right?
I think success or business comes with that sort of story like, I've got to trample on people to get to the place that I'm going, and if you're in my way, then get out. Whereas opposed to, I suppose, the Māori Pacific way of looking at it is, how can we do this together? And now we're trying to take that next step, that once we've done things together, to sort of celebrate that and talk about that and share those stories to sort of uplift all of us. Yeah.
Have you got anything to?
Yeah, with regards to what we touched on previously with Stanley and Kristen, my upbringing in regards to business from a celebratory perspective is whakama, Māori being whakama and being very, very humble in regards to their upbringing. I think that is probably one of the biggest things that I was taught when I was growing up from my grandmother. I was whāngai by my grandmother, and she taught me everything right up until the day she passed. So she was my mother and my father. So I think the reasons why majority of Māori who I was surrounded with when I was growing up and coming through the ranks is that I never had a clear direction in regards to whether I was going to go into entrepreneurship or Māoripreneurship. It was always an opportunity that you was either going to go and work at the Marsden Point refinery or you were going to go and do this. So it wasn't necessarily media. That was primarily my goal.
Which
at
is
that
all
point
good,
in
by
time.
the way.
So yeah. No disrespect to the whānau and friends that are still up home. But yeah, I think that's the reason why. Māori being very, very humble in their approach and their upbringing.
T, can we just hold that point there? Let's say some stuff out loud. We're very good at thinking in here. Let's define what it means not to be arrogant, but to be competent. Because if we don't talk about that, then we don't know where we are in it, right? So you're a good example, T. You know, I don't find you arrogant at all, but I find you fully focused, and it could come across.
Yeah, well, it's funny that we're talking about this point, because what I found is, I'm just going to chuck it out there. I've just come from a psychotherapist, and I've just had a conversation around how I'm silently arrogant. You just don't see it. So I present myself in a way where it looks like, hey, I'm trying to help all you out and do things for you, but really I'm doing it for my own good, and I'm doing it for this thing called gratification.
And going to a break right now.
Yeah. And so what, I really wanted to put that one out there because I now know the difference.
Right.
The difference is doing it from up here as opposed to doing it from here.
Right, okay.
And I operate from here. I had this, but then there are times, and she helped me identify the space here and goes, how'd that feel? Amazing. And you feel that difference. Okay. And so, yeah, I just had to let that out there just so I can set the platform for
thank you.
What the next thing was.
No, because we have to acknowledge those things. They're not things you can grab and touch and hold. They're things you have to work through in real time. So, look, it's very interesting, and I hope it's igniting everyone to want to express this, because I feel like, you know, because we're standing up here not reading a teleprompter, all we got is each other, by the way, as we always did have and as we always will have. And you can lie and say people in your ear tell me what to say, like I see on most telly, or you can just stick to the old stuff. But right now, yeah, it's just us. So, yeah, okay, T, well, let's jump then into the Shark Tank part. I want you to pitch me something so far forward that you're going to have to really work at getting it. You know, what's that projection? People talk about projection. People talk about this is where we're going to be in 20 years. And I feel like that's the thinking I want to be doing, the strategic, long-term. So where are you going to be in 20 years?
in 20 years,
Because we're
that
starting.
puts me in where I actually need to get there. That's 2040.
Good enough.
Yeah, 2040, 20 plus 20. 40. In 20 years, I should be operating from the space a lot. And by me operating from this space, I should be able to solve the problem of wealth distribution. Like, there's not an issue with wealth in the world, it's just the way it's distributed. So what I mean by that is I should be in a position where I'm perpetually generating this amount of money per month to throw it over here. And what I see over here are problems, but there's already solutions in this space. I don't need to reinvent the solution, it's already there. I just need to help fund the people that are already doing the good things that they do. So that's where I see myself. I want to take it a bit further though.
Yes.
At the moment, the world is all on technology, AI, and all of that stuff. The thing that is going to separate us from what we call traditional tech will be spirit tech. And what I mean about spirit tech is magnifying what we call wairua and being able to develop the technologies that detect and are able to monitor the space that we seem to neglect. Because, as you well know, what we define as reality is only 0.0001 something percent that we can detect with what we have within us, with what we have in the technology around us. So we're missing out on 99.9999 and all the 9% of what's actually happening here. Now, our histories as Māori and Pasifika already define these things, but because we can't repeat it, we can't call it science. But I believe that that's going to change in the future.
Whoa, well, you threw us far forward. That's, look, because that's what I want too, right? We've got to be thinking to that level. How do you measure something? I mean, we are measuring it here tonight, right? We know exactly what to do with a bunch of our people in the same space. Yeah. We know exactly what to do. And so you just got to find a way to measure that. And maybe the journey is to realise maybe you shouldn't measure some things. You just go in and eat some pizza and have a fun chat. Yeah, bro, any
Dude, I'm just going to be really simple. Hopefully retired wealthy, spend time with my family and my mokopuna. And that's basically it. 20 years, that's primarily where I see myself. Back home too. Home. So.
Do you think that was the original goal of people who set us down this path? And I mean our ancestors.
It's a tough one. I know that my grandmother had visions for me in regards to being successful in regards to what I wanted to pursue. I know that she wanted me to go home and do a whole lot of mahi for our iwi, and I eventually will do that, but not at this point in time. But yes, to answer your question, I held it.
Awesome. So look, we're going to take another little break here. We can decide how we want to roll this, but I feel like it's more of this. All right, let's just keep talking. We're with each other. Let's get as much of the wairua happening, and then let's work out how we can measure that. I mean, we kind of are, right, because it's being transferred onto the telly. Right. People can feel that. So awesome. Stay with us, and we'll be back in a sec. Okay, team, we're back. Hope you had a nice break, and do buy whatever you see on audio.tv because that's how we keep going here. While you were being sold to, well, we were selling ourselves to small groups of people, and why that's good is because, look, some things are revealing themselves tonight. So let's just quickly go through with our two panelists and talk about, like, what's your group, what was the themes that you were breaking out with?
Just talking about entrepreneurship, being Māori, getting back to our Māori Pasifika roots, and using that as a vehicle within business, and just talking about our journeys and our parents. Really, we were talking about I guess what we've learned from our parents, or what we haven't learned from our parents, and how that's, I guess, shaped our relationship with money.
Love it.
And then what we're doing now to sort of change that. And now, William, you were talking about seeing somebody to help with that relationship with money. I've done the same thing in the last 2 months is of seeing somebody, especially through COVID, to help the mental health side of it, and it's been the biggest change in my life.
Yeah.
And it's helping with the money, it's helping with everything.
And William, just before we say hello, last segment there was a mic on its own. This segment, there's a person in here now, right?
Yeah.
So this is how we're doing it. This is the trust we've got. So kia ora, William, just introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, kia ora. I'm William Tarter. I work for Ray White as a real estate agent. We list and sell over 38 suburbs across Auckland. My love of real estate is not only about the property, but really just serving people and helping them on the journey. We're going back to our discussions there. In 2017, I really hit a brick wall, and the reason I hit the brick wall was I was so frustrated about, earning the money, and I wasn't able to keep it either. But I got a business coach in to help me to find out, and she asked me some really deep questions, and I found, going right back to my childhood, my parents were really hard workers. They put the food on my table and the clothes on my back. But there was never anything that was entrepreneurial, never anything that you invest for the future, nothing that where you can accumulate money. And so I had to change my mindset over a 12-month period of going from a poverty mindset to an abundance mindset. Not easy, because there are certain things that are ingrained in you, and you have to overcome those things, and I still have to fight that today, but I'm in a lot better space, because as I've grown on the inside, I've grown on the outside as well.
Cool. William, just on that point, so people don't walk away misunderstood, what's one thing to pin yourself to if you need to get out of that mindset? What was your star?
So the star was, first of all, discovering that you have a poverty mindset. Once you know that it's uncovered, so it's in the light, then you can deal with that factually, rather than something that you're just thinking in the background here. And once I confronted that, then I took actions and steps to be able to do that. So I had to educate myself. I had to understand how the mind works, how the subconscious works, because most of us, when we operate 90% with our subconscious. The 10% is just the conscious, but the subconscious is the one that has the program that's running. I had to change that. I changed that through different ways: visualization, meditation, and also affirmations as well.
So if you're not learning your subconscious, then are you unconscious?
Well, almost, yeah. You're doing a program that was embedded in you when you were a little kid. But now, as an adult, I having to change that, and that has dramatically improved my life.
Holy heck, I mean, that's pretty much what I've been doing as well. And it's been a lot of those really hard questions about my upbringing, about my youth, and my parents are exactly the same, and it was those really hard questions and stuff that I had to deal with that I really didn't want to, but I did, and I still am. And as you're saying, like acknowledging that, and then going, okay, cool, it's there. I'm doing something about it. It's not going to get fixed straight away, but I know it's there, and we're doing the work to change that. And it's been a whole mind shift. It's been a whole change in such a good way.
See, here's the thing: you can have the talent. In other words, you can achieve and be a high sales performer or whatever it is that you're doing. But that does not necessarily mean that you are an abundance mindset. You can have tons of money going in, but also be going through your fingers and going out the other side just as fast. So until you change the program, change mind, but change the subconscious part, then once you've done that, and it does take some time, but if you're prepared to work at it, man, it'll change your life.
But that was my 30s. I was making good money, but I just got rid of it just as quick as I got it. Whereas now I think I'm a lot smarter about it.
But
now you're in your 20s.
Here's the key, because you think you don't deserve it, and that was my key. I thought I didn't deserve, or I undervalued what I was doing. Yes, I was providing value, but I still, in my thinking, deep inside, I was undervaluing myself. And so when I started to affirm that I deserve the wealth that I'm getting, that deserve the money that I'm earning, that changed my thinking, and particularly internally.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a second, look around. We're getting some... Yeah, come. Stay, yeah. Just say hello to everybody.
Hi, good evening. My name is Colleen, actually, and I 100% endorse exactly what you've just done, because I had to look at 6 months ago, hit my rock bottom, change my mindset, and I've just qualified with Marissa Peer. She's the #1 UK therapist, but internationally as well. I'm just qualifying, and she is, exactly what you've just said now is going back, changing the beliefs. Everybody thinks that they're not good enough, actually. So the logical mind, pointing on to what you've just said, the logical mind is the conscious mind. The emotional mind, the unconscious mind is the emotional mind. So I'll give you an example, because I'm just about to qualify and I'm launching my business to actually train people in mindset, actually. Your conscious self, for an example, would be, I want to lose weight. I see this donut over here. I can't eat it, but the donut is there. I'm going to eat that donut. I feel terrible because I've eaten that donut. You know, the emotion will always override the mind. I'm just sharing 2 things. There's 3 things for mindset and actually for success. The mind will act in a way where you put pictures in your mind. So whatever your scenario is, if you tell your mind that picture, your mind will act in that way, and what you tell your mind. The other things for success, there's 2 things actually. One is making the familiar unfamiliar. Actually, so things that are not normally your pattern, actually, you have to make that familiar to you. The other thing is that it will respond to things. I have actually, and doing the things that you hate doing. So I did 1 session with it. It's helped me tremendously, and also doing programming the mind. So you just mentioned about visualization. You'd mentioned about commands, and by the way, affirmations are command statements to the mind, instructing the mind actually to actually do it. So when you start verbalizing, saying, I'm wonderful, you're actually commanding the mind, I'm beautiful, I'm wonderful, I deserve that whole abundance thing. Going on from what you were just talking now about childhood, absolutely everything that I shared in our group as well was saying that, you know, what the mindset is, I can't afford that. So which means you're telling your mind from an early age, you know what, I'm not allowed to ask for that. And it does sit in the subconscious, and so as much as you want to go logically, I want to strive ahead, you will be sabotaged with your beliefs actually. So please feel free to come and knock on my door. I will definitely be helping people with that, because I do want to help people succeed. And so I couldn't sit there and say no. Actually, I had to just share those tips actually with you guys.
Beautiful.
So,
look,
yeah,
I just want everyone to stay exactly where we are. I'm going to roll straight into the next segment. I want to try something. Okay, let's build on this. We've got 9 minutes 30 to really kick some action. If people are sitting, watching, if we're here, we're going to, so straight after the break, I'm going to leave these 3 mics open, and I just want a rotation of people coming up, exactly like this. Let's build this mindset. Let's not leave anything on the table, okay? Because if we do, we're going to drive home and think, damn it, I should have said something. Okay, so stay where you are.
Building myself up is about sort of going against the grain. So a lot of my whānau don't or haven't necessarily ever wanted to be different. And so for me, looking at the way I am, my own values, and my own sort of strengths and weaknesses, sort of at some stage always goes against the grain, because it's not okay to be different. But when you are different and you do speak out and you do go for the things that you're passionate about, it keeps you motivated, because you're on that journey and you're on that adventure and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I always want to create a space for myself to feel like I'm everything that I do is a path, and it's tika and it's pono to my own values, and that's how I'll create a path and navigate. And it's about e waka i whenua, so it's about looking at those others that are on that adventure and rather than them having their own waka and we're all paddling in the same direction or at different stages, it's about welcoming them onto my own waka and saying, we can do this together, and it's not about being alone. It's not about having to navigate those seas and those waters, which we all know because we, being Pasifika or being Māori, we come from Hawaii, so we ventured and we voyaged those seas, and so we all know about navigating and how hard it is to do it on your own. So you need to have those others on there, and you need to have the others on the path because they're creating obviously speed and momentum, but it keeps you accountable to others, and it keeps you knowing that your purpose is there to support and to tautoko each other, and without whānau support and friend support and using all those tangas that everyone likes to use, manaakitanga, whanaunatanga, kotahitanga, without being true to those values and utilising the people and the networks that you have, you'll never sort of get on a venture on your own. It's about knowing if you're the navigator, the steerer at the back of the waka, or are you the leader in terms of the one paddling. Or identifying whether or not you're in the middle. So at this stage you might be on someone else's waka and you're helping them to assist the seas in which they're paddling, but actually you want to be the front because you want others to follow you and to represent you and to follow your leadership and become a role model. And if you believe that you are that role model, then you should be at the front of the waka because you want to be the pillar that everyone sees, that everyone is looking over your shoulder and looking from behind, and you're the one that's setting the pace. And then if you're not, as we progress through our business life, we become the steerer. So we're no longer just the person that's at the front. We might delegate that path to somebody else or to our own friends and whānau that have come on the path. But it's about also knowing that if you're at the back of the waka, you have to sort of navigate past everything else. So what is in the seas ahead of you? Is it, can you see the rips? Can you see the rocks? Can you see the current or the reef? And so it's about knowing that journey. And business is a journey. It's like going through storms and seas and all sorts of things. And I love the idea of being able to embrace who we are and become sort of everything we are, but also telling ourselves that it's okay to be that person that's at the front. It's okay to tap yourself on the shoulder or pat yourself on the back and say you're doing an awesome job, but it's also okay to not be doing an awesome job and to recognise that and to know that you need to do better. What about you, lovely wahine?
Your name?
Oh, sorry, my name is Shanice. Yes, Shanice Joyce.
And where do you come from?
So I travelled specifically down here at the moment to do a couple of business things, but I'm from Kaipara, so I'm from the far north in Dargaville, and I'm down here to tautoko my friends and whānau of, Ngāti Whātua who are having their hikoi tomorrow in regards to the landfall in the Dome Valley. So, interesting.
Well, I think we're all on a different journey. Kia ora, my name's Camilla, and I am the founder and managing director of a company called Iconic. We specialise in financial education, and we're all about changing lives, empowering not only New Zealanders, women, Māori Pacific Islanders, just to have more control around their financial future, helping them get into homes and, realise what some people think is impossible. When you talk about building yourself up, I think as women, especially Māori women, there are so many different challenges that come with that. And if I'm specifically talking about my own journey, I work in an industry that is not only very male dominated, but there are not many Māori or Pacific Island financial advisors throughout New Zealand, and that comes with so many challenges, along with the fact that I'm one of very few Māori women that run a financial advisory enterprise. And then you've got to look at your family environment and where you come from. And I think earlier on when we were talking about raising, why do we find it hard to talk about our success? And I was sort of, saying in my group that there's not only the cultural barriers that come with that, but there's also the family barriers. I came from a family that worked 7 days a week, worked really hard, but didn't really have anything at the end of the day. And some of those barriers now are, you wanting to try and move forward, not only so you can help yourself, but you can help those around you. And I think for me, building yourself up. So when I think about building myself up, I think about the only way that I feel that I can do that is by building up the other people that are around me, the team, because that's where I get my empowerment from. And like I said, I think everyone is on their own different journey. What about?
Sorry, I'll just pinch this for a sec. So because it's TV land, so you're going to stay right here, but we're going to wrap it up here. So I guess what I'll say is thank you everybody for joining us on Audio and TV. This does not mean the content's finished. We're going to upload to the Nesian Network platform and we're going to have the full kōrero of everything. But for the tele stuff, because it's driven by TV Land, we'll end it here. Can I just say thank you to everyone who's given us the power tonight. And so cool, we wrap it for TV, but we carry on with the conversation. So the mics are still here, and I would invite people to, when you're finished, you pass it on. And if there's not someone ready to take that, you keep on it, all right? So that's the deal.